yesterday you chose an animal to research and you came up with a list of subtopics that you thought were really important on that animal based on the different books that you looked at and the different table of contents. So Miss Barry and I had chosen penguins, and we came up with a list of subtopics too. Today you're going to pick just one of those. You're going to pick one of the subtopics to focus on. I'm picking body. So good researchers choose one subtopic and just research that. We're not going to worry about any of these other ones. We're just going to focus on body. And I'm going to use a couple different books to do that. So first I'm going to start with my easy book because I want to get a good overview first. So I'm going to start with the page on penguins. So I'm going to go to the table of contents. You don't have to read the whole book every time. You just want to read the parts that are about the subtopic that you're working on. So I know that Not Just Any Bird on page 8 is all about a penguin's body. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to read this whole entire page, and then I'm going to be thinking to myself as I go, what are the most important parts on this page that I really need to write down so I remember, because they're super important for me to learn and teach other people about the penguin's body. So I'm going to go ahead and read that, and then I will be right back so I can take notes. So now that I've read this page, I'm going to set up my notes. I'm going to make sure that I put a heading so I know what these notes are when I go back to them later on. So I'm going to put penguin's body because this whole entire page of notes is going to be about a penguin's body. Now, using what I just read, I'm going to take notes on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip a line every time I write. So I'm going to write down the important things from this page, and then I'll be right back to show you what that looks like. So now I have all my notes from this book written down. And I just want to show you quick how they're organized. So I skipped a line after every single different fact that I found. You want to do that to make sure that it is organized. And then if you see this right here in a different color, webbed feet, that's an expert word that scientists would use to describe penguins, and I know that that's a word specific and important to penguins, so I wanted to make sure to put it in a different color so it jumps out at me and I know right away that it's an expert word. So now that I have all that information from this book, from my first book, I'm going to move to this book, and I'm going to find the chapter about penguin bodies in this one on the table of contents. So I found penguin bodies on page 10. I'm going to flip to that, and I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to take a few minutes and I'm going to read the whole section about a penguin's bodies and think to myself, okay, is this new information? If so, then it's probably going to be important and I can write it down. If I already learned it in the other book, I don't need to write that down because then I would have the same thing twice. So I really need to think about this as I go and take my time to be able to take good notes that would be good, that would show good researching. So I'm going to take a minute to do that, and then I will be right back to take notes. So now that I've read this entire section on a penguin's body, I can go ahead and I can start taking notes. As I go, I'm going to think to myself, is this important for me to understand and be able to teach about the penguin's body, or is it something that I don't really need to include? Because we don't want to write every single word down that we see on the page. So I'm going to go ahead and take notes, and I'm going to think about, do I already have this or not? And then I'll show you my notes once I'm finished. So in my second book, I found a whole lot more information that I did not find in my first book. I was able to add some more expert words, and I got a whole page and a half of notes just on the penguin's body. So it's really important to do a couple things when you're researching and taking notes on a particular subtopic. One, you want to make sure that you skip lines, okay, so it's nice and organized. Two, you want to make sure that you have some expert words in there, that if scientists would use them and it's a word specific to your animal, then that's definitely an expert word to use. Another thing, you don't need to use complete sentences. We're okay with that because you're just trying to get the notes down quick so you get as much research as possible. So notice I didn't use complete sentences. Poor sense of smell, that tells me exactly what I need to know, but it's not a full sentence, and that's okay. And just try to get as much as you can using the two books. Don't sit there and write down all the same information twice. If you got it in the first book, look for new information in the second book. Okay? So that will be your job today, to do exactly what I just did. Good luck, and we will see you tomorrow.